Hi everyone. I sweared to myself that I would be consistent on YouTube and I haven't been. But when I tell you I've been through the pits of hell in my life, I've been through the pits in hell. Life update. I've got my head set and certain on getting my own apartment. I'm not sure what city yet though. I don't know whether I want, obviously I go to university in Manchester, right? So I've got another year left there, but I don't know whether I'd be signing like a year's lease. I don't know whether I want to be in Manchester or I want to be outside of Manchester, or do I want to be in Leeds and I can drive into Manchester. I don't know, but I suppose I believe everything will come to me naturally, and one day I will just get the apartment pop up and I'll be like, that is the one. Because the ones I've been looking at, I don't know, they're not itching my brain the way I want them to. How are all of you? I hope you are all doing amazing. I've been very, very quiet on the internet recently. I have been really putting energy into myself, becoming the person I want to be, and I really wanted to show back up on the internet as a version of myself that was grounded, and I didn't want to put things out on the internet when I was having a hard time myself. We're back, we're good. I'm feeling a lot more optimistic. I've got a rash. I've really been getting into spirits and, you know, like energy and manifesting and all those different things. Everything that happens to me, what is the spiritual meaning? But I need to let off with that. Today that we could talk a little bit about how your thoughts very much do navigate your reality. This is something in which that, upon reflection, a lot of the life in which I've had and a lot of the negative and positive experiences that I've had in my life have all actually transpired and happened as a result of my thoughts and your self-concept and the thoughts that constantly are pushed around your head. For example, if you constantly think in the times of breakups, let's say, because that's obviously what I'm known for, in the times of breakups, if you're constantly thinking, they're going to find someone better than me, they're going to find someone better than me, they're going to find someone better than me, and that is a thought that is always on your mind all of the time, naturally, you are going to have such a low self-concept that you are going to have a low self-esteem, you're going to have low confidence. So most likely there is going to be somebody equivalent that mirrors that insecurity about yourself. You know that you have a low self-esteem, you know that you have low confidence levels. So when there is somebody who mirrors that, maybe that is your ex's new partner, maybe that is the girl that he's speaking to, maybe that is your ex, maybe that is somebody online, whoever it may be, their confidence and their self-security mirrors back at you, which just amplifies that insecurity even more. Taking that back, obviously we know that that all just started with one micro thought. That all just started with, they're going to find someone better than me. Now, perspective is a huge thing in life. I truly believe that actually nothing in reality is actually real. How we perceive reality is and becomes our truth. Now, of course, there's things like society building up constructs and laws and all of these different things, of course. However, they were all built through us, through humans, okay? Without humans and without our brains and our thoughts, we would just be on a planet. And I know I sound a little bit crazy, and you're probably thinking, what is she even talking about, okay? But it all begins in your mind. Going through a breakup, it very much feels like a experience and a outcome that is completely out of your control. Most likely, a lot of us didn't actually choose that outcome, didn't actually want that outcome, didn't actually want that reality, okay? Which is totally fine, which is so normal, okay? But you have a choice, ultimately. You have a choice in this reality in which you have in front of you to see it as a positive or see it as a negative. Now, I'm not saying to you, don't be sad, don't be upset, don't stress, don't worry about it. Of course, naturally, as humans, we have emotions, and it's always best to release said emotions. However, What I mean by you have a choice to embrace this experience or not embrace this experience is ultimately, I believe, as human beings, through ourselves, we naturally manifest our futures for ourselves. If you remain as the being who you are now, okay, and you remain who you are with no expansion, no growth, no lessons, you're going to remain where you are. And I know it's very much things will naturally come and things will naturally happen. No, you have to be proactively improving your life. You have to proactively be improving who you are. You have to be proactively learning and growing and expanding and being kind to yourself. We so much as human beings rely on external validation, somebody else to tell us that we're good enough, for somebody else to tell us that we're loved, for somebody else to come and save the day for us. But when we go through scenarios like breakups, we are shown exactly why you should only ever fully rely on falling back on yourself. That's not me telling you to never have a boyfriend again. It's not me telling you to never have a girlfriend again. It's not me telling you to never have friends or never rely on anybody. But what I am saying to you is to have that solid foundation that every single thing that another human being can provide for you, you can provide for yourself. That is not a miracle cure of you are never, ever going to be hurt again. You're never going to grieve anybody again. You're going to be so self-reliant that you will never feel again. That's not going to happen. However, it will not leave you feeling completely like your whole reality has been stripped of you without your conscious choice. So this time for you should be used to fix up these areas of your life where you are grieving and mourning this person. Maybe they always took you out on a date on a Friday night. Now it's time to take yourself out for a date on said Friday night. It's not going to feel nice at first. It's never going to feel nice at first at all. But linking back to that, thoughts, conspire and link and create your reality. If you're sat every Friday night thinking, it was so much better when they were here. It was so much better when they were here. When they were here, I, had so much more fun. And before you know it, your whole Friday night has been spent in bed. So I'm not surprised that within your mind, your brain believes that being around that person was better. Because we're not creating a new reality for our nervous system to actually enjoy said Friday night external from that person. So what are you constantly going to be doing? You're constantly going to have this negative thought loop of this person, because you much preferred that reality with said person, because we're not creating a new one that feels impactful for us. We're not creating that new reality that benefits us. When you love somebody, when you care about somebody, that outcome there is probably going to be more desirable than the one that you create for yourself here. I totally understand that. However, a lot of the time as human beings, we rather see suffer or don't suffer. With don't suffering, we create all of these connotations of I'm never gonna be able to speak to them again, never gonna be able to talk to them again, I'm never gonna be able to have another chance with them again, I'm never ever, and we put never ever on this, choice. But this choice is for you as an individual. This choice doesn't determine your relationship. It doesn't determine what other people are going to choose to do, but it's to end your own suffering. Now, a thing that I like to do, and a thing that I always share with my clients, when you have these negative thought loops and how these negative thought loops can contribute to your day, and how these negative thought loops can recite and repeat themselves and ultimately manifest into a reality, okay, is to write them down. Genuinely write them down and change the perspective. If you create a mental image of the person who you want to be, who you want to be by the end of this, who you want to be if you ever see them again, if you ever bump into them again, who you want to be if, you could decide, okay? And you channel into that person, because that person exists. Each individual has multiple different identities of who they could be, okay? But as human beings, we believe that the only existing version is the version in which we see right now in our current reality, okay? But that is not true unless you allow it to be true. So there's a million different identities in which you could be. There's a million different fonts of you. There's a million different versions of your said reality. If you channel into which one seems more desirable to you, and you have these thoughts of current you now written down, how would you flip that perspective? How would that person who you're channeling change that sentence? And flip the narrative. So if it's said said reality now would say, I'm not good enough, but the version of you who you envision you want to be would say, of course I'm good enough. I've got all of my money, I've got my apartment, I've got the love of my life, I've got all of these different things, like, of course I'm good enough. That's the identity in which you choose to align with. You don't become a new person by waiting around to be that new person. You don't build a successful business by waiting for the opportunity. You don't marry the love of your life by sitting around and dwelling on the past. Okay? Now, again, I'm not saying that, because I know a lot of you are going to get a little bit anxious, okay? I'm not saying you can never be with that person again. But the existing reality says you are not with said person right now, okay? If you don't want that to be the case, stop identifying with the version of yourself who tells you that that is not the case, okay? Become somebody who expands. Become somebody who grows. Become somebody who becomes the version of you that is desirable in your mind. What is stopping you from having that apartment? Is it money? Is it confidence? Is it you're scared to move away from home? Address those issues. Now, again, I'm not tone deaf. Money doesn't fall from trees as much as I wish it did. Okay, it doesn't. But again, look at your facilities. Look at the things in which that you can do. Okay, look at the opportunities, and yet maybe your confidence or your self-trust is limiting you from, trying and experiencing. What's stopping you from setting up a business? You've got no idea? Okay, find the idea. Okay, there's endless identities of you. And a lot of the time we stay within the one that is comfortable, okay? Comfortable has only ever kept us stuck, okay? Familiarity has only ever kept us stuck. And this is probably why we're going through what we're going through now. So we have to look outside of what is familiar, what is known, and get excited about the unknown. To get excited about what we have yet to actually discover and find out about ourselves. If I want you to take one lesson from this, it is that your thoughts, okay, what you think on a daily basis will build your life for you. If you are constantly believing you are not good enough, you will constantly feel not good enough. If you are constantly telling yourself that you are going to be stuck in this job forever, you are going to stay stuck in that job forever. The starting point is awareness. In any facility, in any way of life, is awareness. So get aware with what thoughts you are pushing through your mind on a repeated basis, and ask yourself whether the version of you who you want to be identifies with those thoughts. And if they don't, you've got to change your thoughts, because you will manifest a reality in which you don't want. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. It's been very nice to chat to you all, and I will see you shortly. Bye bye.